Hey friends, it's Awkwardly Random with Cynthia and Michelle, where we talk about random topics.
Anything and everything awkward is on the table, so let's dive right in.
Hey everybody, it's Cynthia.
And it's Michelle. Welcome back to another episode of
Awkwardly Random.
Random. So cringe.
So cringe.
We're gonna come up with a new intro, I guess. I don't know. We don't know how else to introduce ourselves, but we're back. Obviously, as you can tell, we haven't posted in months. I feel like this is a pattern. Like during the summers, we just don't post.
Okay, I was gonna say we go through these periods of like we take like things happen, right? Like yes, we have life things going on and we can't post as frequently as we want to or whatever, and we come back and we're like, hey, we're back. This is like the third or fourth time. This is why our intros are so cringe, because we like forget sometimes. At least I forget. I'm like, how do we intro this? And so anyway, yeah, we're back for the, I don't know, fourth, fifth time now.
Yeah.
From a break.
I mean, we're humans. We have full-time jobs. Like this is a hobby. We're not making money out of this. Like this is for fun. So you're gonna get us when you get us. Yeah.
Yeah, you get us when you get us. That's right.
Yeah. And we will make up for it.
Yes, we will do our best to make up for it.
Yeah, no promises.
And because like you said, we are human and we have other things going on in our lives. Speaking of, we're gonna get into all of that because Michelle and I both have undergone some changes in our lives. Big transitions. Yes, so we're gonna get into it, but as per usual, we got to get through our awkwardly random question of the day. So, Michelle, what have you watched recently that you really enjoyed? This could be shows, movies, anything that you've watched recently.
Something that I watched recently. I watched the new Thor movie.
Ooh.
Love and Thunder. I liked it. Spoiler for people who haven't seen it. Or should I spoil it or not? I don't know.
I mean, it's been out for a while now.
I know. It's because I hadn't seen it in theaters. I only saw it when it was released.
Oh,
on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
So luckily I didn't get spoiled before, but I really liked it. I liked how they focused on, if you've seen the Marvel movies, you know that Thor had gone through a lot of loss and just a lot in general. And so seeing him heal through all of that as a very like masculine man and, leaning into love and more of that kind of thing. I really like seeing that, and I really like the humor of it. So I really enjoyed like watching that.
Have you seen his? I recommend it too. I've seen it. I saw it as well. I went to the theaters. Yeah, I think I went to the theaters to see it, and I really liked it too. And I wanted to ask you if you've seen the previous two Thor movies. Okay. Do you like which one? Do you like the best out of the three? I think there's three.
What was the first one? Oh wait, yeah.
It was just
I don't know. I really like the second one.
Okay.
It was, I don't know. I think it's a tie between the second and the third, to be honest.
Yeah.
And the first one I don't really care too much about.
I don't really remember much about the first one, which also probably says something about the first one. But I really enjoyed this one, the Love and Thunder one, for all the same reasons you listed. And there was some queer representation. I was hoping there'd be a little bit more with Valkyrie, but it was just kind of like a splash. And I'm like, we need to go more in depth, and so that I don't know, I thought it was a good step, I guess, in the right direction. But overall, I really liked it. It was funny. I liked how his his love interest's name, how she also was Thor. Jane. Yeah. And so that was cool to see her kind of get into her powers and stuff like that. So I recommend it too. We spoiled it a little bit, but this movie has been out since earlier this summer, and it's been out on Disney Plus, I think, or HBO Max. I don't know which one.
It just came out.
Oh, it just
this
came
week,
out?
I think. Yeah.
Oops. Okay, so
on Disney Plus, but I mean, it's been out in general. I'm sure people have already seen it by this point. If not, we recommend you watch it.
Yes.
And if you don't want to watch it, that's all right.
Then don't watch it. It's cool.
Yeah. What about you? What is what's something that you've watched recently that you've really enjoyed?
So I watched Love Island.
Oh, what is that about?
The like reality dating thing show. Okay.
Wow,
my cousin,
Beans.
I know.
You never watch. I'm the reality watcher from both of us.
Yes.
You never. So this is new. This is
no.
interesting.
In fact, I refused. So last year, Rebe, my cousin who's been a guest on our show, she loves it. Like she is a big fan, and she tried to get me to watch it the last season, and I refused. I said no thanks, I'm good. I'm a pass. And
so what is it about?
So it's a group of people who basically date each other. They're on an island, or they're just like secluded from the outside world. There's no phones, no social media. It's just you are there to find your person, your love, whatever. And so they do like challenges, and they basically hang around in the villa and talk, and it's all about making connections. And of course there's got to be drama always. So they'll start with like 6 girls and 6 boys, and then they'll bring in more people to kind of add to the mix, and then people will leave throughout the season, and the final couple that gets America's vote or wins America's vote wins the Love Island, or they're like the winners, and they get, I think, I want to say $100,000 at the end of it.
So is this like a dating show also?
Yes.
Okay.
But it's okay. I don't know how to describe it. It's not like a game show. It's just like you follow them every day. Like it's like a reality TV show. Maybe that it's kind of like The Bachelor. Okay. I could be getting some hate for saying that, but have you ever seen The Bachelor or The Bachelorette?
Yeah, I have.
Okay, where it's like it seems pretty unscripted, and it's just like they're dating and stuff happens, and you do challenges and things like that, and you're there for the purpose of finding your love.
Okay, but here people vote for them.
So you America gets to vote, and but also the Islanders get to vote within the island or within the villa. So it's kind of a mix.
Interesting.
So I guess I got hooked, and there was new episodes every day except for like 1 or 2 days out of the week. So of course I'm like, yes, a new episode every day. Awesome.
Yeah.
And there was a drama, and I was like, oh no, he did her hella bogus. And so it was just entertaining. It was so entertaining. But yeah, you're right. I mean, I'm not too much of a fan. That's why I like laughed in the beginning before I said this, because I knew you were gonna say that.
I know, surprise. But I mean, whatever you enjoy, no shame.
It was great to like de-stress from like the day and just watch something that was entertaining.
Yeah.
So
nice.
So yeah,
cool. Where do you watch that? On Hulu or where?
No, this is on Peacock. Unfortunately, I don't think a lot of people. I don't think it's that popular. But or you watch it on like the TV. I forgot what channel it's on. Whatever Peacock partners with.
Okay. But, nice.
Yeah. Let us know what y'all are watching. I'm also watching She-Hulk, so let me know if you're watching She-Hulk, and maybe we could talk about it, debrief about it in another episode.
I'm down to do that. I'm down to talk about it.
Yeah, that'd be cool. So yeah, let us know what y'all are watching. Let us know if you recommend anything, and yeah, let us know.
Okay. Moving on
to
our big announcements or changes.
Yeah, would you call this an announcement?
No, because it's our podcast, but I guess for sharing information, but I wouldn't say it's an announcement.
Yeah, saying that it's an announcement makes it feel like, okay, everybody's like waiting for this.
Up.
Like,
I know,
listen,
right?
We have something super important.
Nobody
that's gonna
cares.
Change your life. No, nobody cares.
So before we get into it, I had a question, because I feel like we're in the age group where I
Mm-hmm.
think people around our age or in
Mm-hmm.
general, they post on social media like changes,
Mm-hmm.
announce like or life changes or like big moves or just anything usually is posted on social media.
Yeah.
And with our situation, you didn't post from my understanding, and I didn't post. Well, I mean, I posted on social media, but never like made an announcement like talking about what I was doing. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, what do you think about that? Like society wise, and is there a reason why you didn't post? Is it a big deal to you? Is it not a big deal? Like what do you think about that in general? I guess let's first talk about like society wise. Like have you seen that as a trend too on social media?
Oh my God, yes. And specifically with Facebook. But
Yeah.
I haven't been on Facebook in probably over a year now, so I don't know what
Oh
it's like
yeah.
now.
You
Yeah.
deleted your Facebook.
Yeah. And
Mhm,
I'm very happy with that decision. But
mhm,
essentially, like, yeah, I know and I've seen, and I've done this too, actually. I'm not even going to say I haven't done this because I have.
mhm,
And where people will post big things that are happening in their lives. Hey, I
mhm,
moved to a different state. Hey, I graduated this and that and that. And,
mhm,
like public service announcement. Look at me. Look at what I'm doing. And
mhm,
I don't know. It depends on your purpose for doing that. Like, I think some people do try to portray themselves in a certain way on social media.
mhm,
And I think should be mindful that when you post personal things about yourself and about your life, you're opening it up to all sorts of comments and reactions and opinions.
mhm.
Um, whether you should or should not be posting, I don't feel like I can say yes or no to that because, like, I don't know, it's none of my business if you want to post or not about your life.
Mhm, mhm,
But as a society, I do see that as a trend that a lot of people will post about their personal lives, like big things or more intimate personal things that mm,
mhm.
I don't know, maybe are better suited for like one-on-one conversations with a close one. I don't know.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, yes, I've seen that a lot.
Mhm,
And not just on Facebook, but I saw it a lot on Facebook. I see it on Instagram. I don't have Twitter, so I don't know what that's like.
mm.
And I saw it a little bit on Snapchat, a lot of it
Yeah.
on TikTok.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I definitely think it's a trend that I
Yeah.
see. I have Facebook, but I don't post at all really.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe yeah, I don't remember when the last thing I posted. Um, but I have posted on social media. I have Facebook. I
Yeah.
have Instagram. On Instagram, I don't really post that much except for like maybe stories and like not even all the time too. Like sometimes I'll take a picture and I might upload it like later that evening or maybe the next day or something.
Mm-hmm.
Um TikTok, I have TikTok. I only make like little short videos. I think I have like 3 or 4. And it's just about like Mia and like my time in New York, which is pretty cool to make, but it took a long time.
Yeah.
And then Twitter, I have Twitter. And I usually just like following different topics on there.
Yeah.
And it's more of a conversation versus like people posting about their lives, really.
Okay.
Obviously, people post about their lives, but
Yeah.
it's mostly like a conversation about different things. So that's what out of all the social media, I probably prefer Twitter because
Mm-hmm.
of that. Um, and yeah, I mean, I definitely see it as a trend. I don't know. What else were you gonna say? Or
Well,
what was your question?
I want to ask you. Okay, so yeah, and I follow you on Instagram. I've seen your posts and your stories, and
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the
Creep.
times
Just kidding.
I be creeping, girl. I be creeping on all your stories. I'm
I'm
like,
just
oh, what
kidding.
is she up to? Um, no, but for real, I feel like a lot of the times when you post, Michelle, it's usually things like like I encourage you to do this and this is what's happening in the
Um,
world and to like inform people and right.
yeah.
And I see a lot of that. I that's one way I feel like social media is good, that you can spread this type of information and like truth and resources and things like that for people. Um, and then I also wanted to ask you, why do you post the things you post? So sometimes you'll post like a picture or like a little boomerang with a song on it, and I do that too. And I always wonder, like, what is the reason why people do that? And I try to ask myself, like, why do I do that?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what is this gonna do
Yeah.
for anybody? Nobody cares. At least I don't think anybody cares what I post.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we still do it.
Yeah. Well, first, I'd like to think that I don't do it for anybody but myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
I usually post things that I think bring me joy. Like if
Mm-hmm.
I'm in general, not even on social media, but in general, like if I'm really happy or if I really think something is beautiful or like pretty or like I'm like, oh, I want to capture this for myself, then I'll
Mm-hmm.
do it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm like, oh, and then I'm like, I really like it, I'm gonna share it. But it's
Yeah.
not that's I for me that's where it comes from. Or maybe it's like information about things that I think people
Mm-hmm.
should know about or things that I care about or issues that I care about that I'm like people should know about this.
Right.
um so yeah, and then but I know we talk about like people posting things about like announcements or like their life, and I don't have anything against that. I just personally, for me, I don't really do that. And I kind of like when people post that, I don't,
Mm-hmm.
um, when we brought this topic up, it's not for me to judge anybody, but
Mm-hmm.
I think because, or in general, there's a lot of negativity in the world. It's kind of nice to see people living their best lives, or
Yeah.
if they got a new job, if they have a child, if they got married, if they got engaged, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's pretty cool to share. I personally won't share any of those things, or maybe I might. Um, but I like seeing people's lives, because I personally, especially during COVID and not being in like with my family or with my friends, living in New York when I
Mm-hmm.
was in New York, it was nice to have social media be a way to connect with people, and that was
Yeah.
a way for me to connect with people.
That's fair. I like that too. I like to see when other people are happy. Um, and I also like to be mindful of the fact that there are some people who just, like I said before, want to portray a certain life and like,
Mm,
hey, my life's perfect and all these things. And then I don't know. And then I don't know, is that like impacting people in some way? Is that impacting the person who's posting in some way? I have no
mm,
idea. I also don't like to go on social media very much in general. But when I do, it is always nice to see like happy things, right? Like you were saying, there's a lot of negativity in the world, and especially during COVID. I don't know
or not
why,
even
like,
just not
uh-huh.
even just happy things though, like I mean like just in general life things,
Yeah.
whatever that is. I don't, at least with some of the people that I personally follow, like friends from college or high
Mm-hmm.
school, or just folks that I have come to know, like they don't always post happy things.
Mm-hmm.
They may post things that they're struggling with or things that are happening in their lives, and that's also a good way to reach out to people sometimes.
Yeah. Well, and I appreciate that almost like a little bit more because you're being very real about things versus
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, everything's great all the time. And maybe it's not even that. Maybe it's just like, why would I want to post the negative things? Let me post things that bring me joy so that I can help bring others joy, right? So like everybody
Mm-hmm.
has their own purpose, I guess, or their own reasons as to why, whether subconsciously or not. It's none of my
Mm-hmm.
business, but I personally don't post very much just because in general, I don't know, right? I think I'm more of a private person. I don't share too much with everybody. I have posted a few things here and there. And I remember on Facebook I posted that I was moving to Chicago for grad school. Um
Mm,
and I was really excited. It was a really big change for me, so
yeah.
I was like, well, why not? Let me post it. And then so there's been times in my life where I did share, but this time I didn't. And I think again, like I'm in a different point in my life. And I think I have shifted my perspective on like how I want to spend my time, where do I want to put my energy, and a lot of it has changed to like not dedicating so much time to being on my phone, even though like TikTok has taken up a lot of my time now, and I gotta chill with that because I like to scroll. But
so when you're saying you switched that's different from when it was before, and you're prioritizing different things, what does that mean really?
So like more time doing other things besides social media stuff, things related to social media and like posting and things like that. I know we've been like, so we with this podcast like we rely a little bit more on social media because we want to like share the podcast, and we're editing and we're posting on YouTube and stuff like that. And then I have a TikTok account with Jasmine, so that's another thing. But I think that's different, at least to me, than just like kind of scrolling and just kind of chilling on the couch, like on my phone scrolling, which I do still, but I tried not to do it as much as I did before. And not to say that's a bad thing, it's just a shift in what I want to do. So I'd rather, I don't know, go walk the dogs or go outside or like I don't know, hang out with Jasmine or read a book or draw, I don't know, play the drums, things like that. Hope that answered your question. Anyway, it's not bad, it's not good, it's just, do what you got to do what you want to do. It's fine.
Do what
you can post or not post.
Or do whatever you want, have social media and not have social media. I just think it's interesting to see just the differences in people.
So let's talk about what we didn't post on social media, which were the changes that we're going to talk about. Do you want to talk about your big change that you did not post on social media?
Well, to be fair, it's not like I didn't post about it, but I have posted stories about like my life. I just haven't really necessarily made a specific post addressing the change.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I have posted about it in some capacity, but I haven't really clarified, I guess. I don't think for me personally, like I think people should use social media however they want.
Yeah, for sure.
But for me personally, I like to be on social media to connect with people. And, the people who I am closest with know like my life goals, my life changes, what I want to do in life, what I prioritize, what is important to me. That I don't necessarily think that I owe it to social media to share that. That's why I guess me explaining that, but I did. It's so weird to say because it feels like I'm announcing something. But I did recently move to Minneapolis from Brooklyn, New York. So I don't live in Brooklyn anymore. Kind of a little bittersweet about it. But for those who don't know, I was in a fellowship right after graduating law school in 2020, accepted a fellowship that was for 2 years in Brooklyn, New York. And that's why I was in Brooklyn. And now that it wrapped up in August, and if you've listened to previous podcasts, you kind of know this. If you listen to it, you can go back if you haven't. You would know that I've been in the reasons why I've been in Brooklyn, and you would know that I was also looking for or planning, I was looking for a job. And so I landed a really good job that I really liked and couldn't say no to, in my opinion, in Minneapolis. So I came back and I'm living here now.
Oh my goodness.
My change. But if you've listened to the podcast, you would know like that this was going to, like I was going to I was definitely going to have to find a job for sure if you've listened to the podcast before. But the big move back to the Midwest was different, even for me. So what about you? Or go ahead. I don't know if you have anything to add.
In my head, I was like, throughout your process, I was like, I think she's gonna stay in New York because I remember you telling me like I need more time, or I would like more time to really explore and get to know the city and, like build a life a little bit more here and just kind of see what happens. And I was like, I have a feeling she's going to stay. She's going to find a different job for sure, but I think she might stay. And then you told me
Yeah.
you got a job in Minneapolis and you're like, I'm moving back. I was like, oh my God, you're leaving New
Yeah.
York after like 2 years. You were there for 2 years.
Yeah.
Which seems like, well, in the grand scheme of things, is not a long time to be in a new place like that.
Yeah.
And especially in New York City, So I was like, wow, really? You're gonna leave New York? But you seemed happy. You seemed content with your decision.
Yeah. Honestly, just going off of that, I kept telling everybody I wanted to stay. And I think that was me trying to convince myself of wanting to stay.
That's fair.
Because like in law school or just growing up, like I want to be a badass attorney in New York because like big cities is where it's at, especially with like in general life or even as a lawyer. Like you get paid a lot more money in New York and Los Angeles and Chicago versus like Minneapolis, especially if you're doing any type of work in terms of being an attorney or an advocate or legal representative in general, because of I can go into that. But I had to like think back as to why do I actually want to stay in New York? Like what is keeping me here? And for me, it was definitely obviously my job that I had there, and the some of the friends that I've made there. But besides that, there wasn't really anything there besides that, and the city and the location, obviously. But I personally have gone through, like, if you listen to the podcast, like I said, go back to listen to them. You've known how much I like love being close to my family, and enjoy being in the Midwest, in like the type of lifestyle here. You know all of that if you listen to all the other podcast episodes. And it was me just I guess accepting what I value versus like this image of what I wanted my life to be or want my life to be, like really making that clear in my head. Because honestly, the job that I have is basically the type of job that I would have wanted in New York, that I don't know if I would have gotten in New York. You know what I mean? And a job is a job, I think. So I could have definitely gotten a job over there, but there are certain things that I value that weren't in New York that I value being here. And I had to like really reflect on that and on myself, and also understanding that like I'm really proud of moving to New York, trying it out, being there, creating a home with Jesus and Mia, and doing that, because I feel like not a lot of us get those opportunities, or not a lot of us feel it's a scary experience. It really is, going to a new place where you don't know anybody, starting a life there and seeing how it goes. And I'm really proud of myself for doing that, and I'm proud of the work that I did at my last fellowship. And so I guess I just kind of weighed out the pros and the cons, and really just went with what I personally felt like was good for me, even though like I probably could have had maybe, I don't know, a different life if I stayed over there, more expensive. But yeah.
Wow. That's huge. Well, I'm happy for you. And I was surprised when you told me you were moving back.
I think everyone was surprised.
Yeah. But at the same time, I'm like, she's such a family person that like, I don't know, like I can, like you were like very close to your family. And so like that, I know that's a big thing for you. And I'm like, that's probably going to be one of the biggest factors that it's going to bring you back, your family. Obviously, yes, your job and you I'm assuming you had conversations with Jesus too to like be like, do you want
Mhm.
to go back too? And talk
Yeah,
about
that
this as
was
a
another
couple,
thing.
right?
Yeah.
Have that conversation, which like I think we could also get into. I also had that same conversation with
Mhm.
Jasmine
Mhm.
because we both moved together. So not only are
Mhm.
we living in a different state, I also
Go
moved.
ahead, Beans. Your
I'm already
announcement
getting
next.
into it.
Go
Oh my
ahead.
god. Uh
Let's hear it.
Jeez Louise. So
Jeez.
I moved back to Madison. Uh
Woo! Woo! Woo!
back to where but look, back to where I said for a long time I wouldn't ever go back.
Yeah, listen to those
Like,
podcast episodes, y'all. You will know.
oh my god.
Let's
Dude,
replay.
yeah, replay, go listen to what I said and come back and check, like, hear me out this time, because we are just
Life happens.
different opinions, different perspectives.
Yeah.
Like, it's a shift, man. It's a mental shift that I
Yeah.
didn't know I was ever gonna have. I told myself Madison doesn't, like, besides my family, there's nothing left in Madison for me, right? I was born and raised here. My home, my family's here, whatnot. I love this place. At the same time, when I went to Australia, I was like, oh my God, if I can go here, I can go anywhere. And there's so much more to see in the world. There's so much more to do, so many more people to meet, so much growth to be made and had in other places of the world. And then I moved to Chicago. I lived there for 4 years. I grew so much as a person. I grew more into myself. I met essentially the love of my life over there, and like, Chicago was so good to me and for me. Right. And I am so happy that I managed to like make that happen for myself. Right. And I, went to school, graduated, got a job, a pretty good job. So I was happy. However, Chicago is so fucking expensive. And well, you know what it's like to live in a city that's very, very expensive, where the cost of living is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And COVID hit, and granted, I'm very thankful that I had Breve with me as my roommate, and we like kind of like survived it together, but I was also away from my family, which like was not fun. And so Jasmine and I were dating for a while, and we were like, let's move in together. And but we were like, should we stay here? And we did look for places in like around the neighboring suburbs or in the city. It was really expensive. It's just not, at least for me and for us, it wasn't financially sustainable for us.
Yeah.
And she was like, well, I don't want to be in Chicago, and I see how you light up when you're with your family. Why don't we go to Madison? It's cheaper. You'll be closer to family. We can always go back to Chicago if we want to. Like, it's 2.5 hours away, whatever. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
And so here I am back, even though I told myself, and I even told you, Michelle, and I've said it to other people, I don't see myself going back. But I think it ultimately went down to values as well. And where am I gonna be really aligned with my values? And it was back here, at least for the time being. I don't know if it's permanent. I don't know where we're gonna end up later on.
Yeah, for sure. That's how I feel too.
Yeah.
I think that's the good thing that I realize now with like making the move to New York and understanding that is a privilege for sure.
Yeah.
Because I know a lot of people just can't get up and move somewhere.
Right.
So I also know that, Minneapolis might not be the place where I end up. Maybe Jesus and I will go somewhere else. Like, and I'm pretty happy or excited about that possibility, or in general about life.
Yeah.
I think before on the podcast, we would talk about how like, oh, like we need to have a plan. Do we need, like, what is that like? Is that really what we need? No, we don't. Like, I think you would really see our thought process with this podcast, and just understanding that like not a lot of things in life are permanent, and life is really short, and do whatever makes you happy, whether that is living in New York, living in Chicago, living in Madison, living in Minneapolis, doing whatever, and just trying to live the life that you want, regardless of what other people are saying.
That's right. Mish, tell us about your moving process. How was that? You went from the East Coast to the Midwest. That's a pretty big move. Logistically speaking, that must have been a lot. How was that for you?
It was a lot. Yeah, it was a lot. But it was a lot. So it was stressful.
So it was a lot.
It was a lot because I moved at the end of August
Yeah.
and had to be in Minneapolis to start my new job September 6th.
Whoa.
And so within that time frame, I basically had to, I mean, we had furniture, which luckily most of it, some of the big things I sold on Facebook Marketplace, or they went to I donated 3 bags, I think, of clothing, and to one was like a nonprofit immigrant organization, and another one to I think it was a homeless shelter. And then my bed and all of that also we donated to people who were recently coming from the border. So I definitely was trying to give out as much as I can to, people who may not have necessarily enough resources to get something. So I was like, take it. We're not going to take it with us. Mostly because of cost, to be completely honest.
Like the cost of transporting it?
Yeah, the cost of transporting it, it didn't make sense for me or for Jesus and I to transport some furniture that I think that we could rebuy because of the cost. And then also we were trying to budget. So we only wanted to take clothing and essentials. So very little. And what we did was we were trying to get a U-Haul trailer to attach to my Jeep, but apparently there's a shortage in New York, in New York City. So they didn't have any available. So what we did is we rented a van from one of the companies where you rent cars, like Expedia or something, and we were able to fit our stuff in my Jeep and the van. So I drove my Jeep and Jesus drove the van, and it was 14 hours each from New York to Minneapolis in 2 days. I was exhausted because we had to move out and clean the apartment and leave it in a good condition. Not that we trashed it or anything, but you just have to clean it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was stressful, but it had to get done. We did it. I'm really glad it's behind us now. But now we need furniture. So I've been looking on Facebook Market, but then also figuring out what we could buy. So before moving here, we actually were able to get a sublease, take over someone's lease for this apartment near the Stone Arc Bridge, which I love. And so you can catch me walking my dog on Stone Arc Bridge. But yeah, I mean, stressful, expensive. Yeah, it was a lot, but at the end it was worth it. I really like where I'm at right now. I really like the location of our apartment. My family's coming to visit this weekend, so I'm overall just really happy.
Yay. Yeah.
What about you? Yeah. What about you? What was the moving process like? Was it as stressful as mine? Any of that? And you have 2 dogs.
Yes. It was stressful, I think, in different ways. Maybe not more or less. I think you had the added layer of traveling so long, a long distance.
Yeah.
Granted, we also moved to a different state, but our commute was only 2.5 hours driving. So that really that's a piece of cake if you want to compare it to a 14-hour drive, So you had that piece of it. The stressful part, I think, that was a big piece of it, I'm sure, for you.
It's not a competition, but yeah.
Well, you said, was it more or less stressful? And I want to say it was different.
Oh yeah, that was a joke.
Oh, okay. Well, I was, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Good clarification. Yeah. So what was stressful was, okay, so we had some issues with the apartment that was originally leased to us. We had signed the lease months in advance. Something happened where at the time, the current tenant was not willing to move out. And the eviction process, I guess, takes months. And like, there were some things going on, I guess. I don't know. The point of me telling you that is that we were not able to get that apartment. So we were getting close to moving and they were like, what are we doing? What's going to happen? Should we keep looking? They were offering us a different apartment on a different floor. And we're like, do we want to go all the way up to the third floor? And so there was just like some things going back and forth with the leasing company, with the apartment, whatever. And that was a little bit stressful, but it worked out. It was fine. We did get a U-Haul, and Jasmine paid movers to help with her stuff because she has an actual like a full apartment. Like she has the couch, the TV, like all that stuff. So
dang,
the movers helped load the U-Haul, but then we drove the U-Haul and we unloaded it ourselves. So it was just like getting the U-Haul loaded from hers, like from her apartment, getting all her stuff into the truck.
Yeah.
So we did that, and I only had the stuff in my room because I was living in Reve's condo, and she it was all her stuff, like her kitchen, her furniture. So I was just renting a room, so I had it kind of easy in that way. So the actual like moving part was manageable. Like it was fine. Yes, we like sweated getting all the heavy furniture out, and we had some help from like
pain in the ass
family members and friends who helped out, which we are so grateful for. But it's still like it's so hard to like, it's just hard, it's stressful to be moving and like cleaning. You're right, like you have to clean your previous apartment and your new one, and then you have to like move the couch where you want it and set things up, and like it takes time. And so it took us about a week to like really get settled, and we still have some things we have to do. Like we still don't have a dining table, so we're figuring that out, but like that's gonna happen at some point. But like we're pretty much settled in now. It's been about a month now. So I think it was just stressful as any move, really. It just getting your shit from one place to another.
And that's great that you had people to help you. Shout out to JT, Tony, and Frankie, who are our friends here in Minneapolis, who literally helped us. I think it was like 8:00 and it was like till 10 to help us just bring in our things. Which was really great. So thank you. We appreciate it because we were dying.
Dude, for real.
Not like, literally, but like
but almost like, because it's so stressful. But for real, like shout out to all the people that really help like in these times in our lives, because moving is such a big thing. And like shout out to Stefania, who has been a guest on our podcast. Like she allowed Jasmine to stay at her place for 3 weeks to start her job early before we moved in.
Oh, that's awesome.
That really allowed for Jasmine to get this job. And so like it just helped the moving process. That like it just helped us because we were able to focus more on the move and not be so stressed about where she's gonna stay, because our lease date wasn't until mid-August, but her job needed to start in July. It was very stressful the past few months. And like the people that showed up for us, like it's like I'm so appreciative. Me
too. Same.
And so I think it's really important to lean on your people, and be, just show up for each other and help each other out, because
it means a lot. Thank you.
Absolutely. Yes. Shout out to all y'all. Yay.
Shout out for all the help. So how does it feel, Beans, not being in Chicago, like not living in Chicago anymore and living in Madison?
Okay. Yeah, that's a good question. I'm happy being where I am right now. And I feel like I am experiencing Madison in a different way. Even though I know this
How
place
so?
very well and I grew up here and I was raised here, whatever, like I said before, like it's just different because
Fitchburg.
I know, right? I'm back in Fitchburg, y'all. My goodness.
Nice.
But like, okay, so I'm in a different place
Mm-hmm.
emotionally, mentally, like
Mm-hmm.
just I am in a different headspace.
Yeah.
In a like I feel like I'm healing from a lot of things and I finally, like I said, grew into like myself and I'm happy being who I am, right? And like so now I'm back
It's
in
amazing.
Madison, like living that, you know, that truth, right? And like to be
Mm-hmm.
here like and close to family and everybody's very supportive and like everybody's been so welcoming to Jasmine and just like like bringing her in with open arms. Like we really have a really good support system here. Not that I never not had a good support system, but this is a little bit different. And so like Madison just feels different to me in a good way, in a good way. So I'm really happy to be here. I do miss like all the cool things you can do in Chicago and like that city life and you know being with Rebe and all the friends that I made over there and you know there are, like Chicago has so many good things to it and it's a beautiful city and I'm really happy that I live there, but I think it was my time to for this change to happen. I think it came at the right time in my life.
Yeah.
So I'm happy.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's amazing. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
So glad to hear that that's your experience and everything is going really well.
Yeah, hopefully it continues to go that way.
I'm sure it will.
Thank you. How do you feel not being in New York?
I feel ooh.
Tell us the truth, Mish. Tell us the truth. Don't be stalling. Did you drop that on purpose?
Sorry. No, I disconnected my charger from my laptop.
I'm just kidding.
How does it feel not being in New York anymore? I feel, like I said, bittersweet. It's just because I recently moved. So it still feels very new to me because I need to develop a new routine. I'm very much a routine person. So still trying to figure that out because my move was so recent. And so, yeah, because I moved in last week.
You are brand new.
Last week. I'm brand new. So for me, it's still like a little, I have to adjust. But overall, I love New York City. I super grateful that I was able to live there, especially in Brooklyn in my neighborhood. I lived in like in between Bed-Stuy and Crown Heights neighborhoods in Brooklyn. I know I never really shared that just for privacy and safety reasons on the podcast, but I really liked the neighborhood that we lived in. I really liked the apartment that we lived in, even though I think it had moles in it, which is not good. Even though it's an expensive ass city, I really like it there. I really found a good sense of community in terms of the other fellows that were in the program. I loved the work that I was doing at the nonprofit, all the people that I helped. It was just a very good and fulfilling time, but also it was very hard to live there. It was a big adjustment to from living in the Midwest pretty much my entire life. I knew I grew up, like I was born in LA and stuff like that, but it's different from the Midwest and making that adjustment. So I'll definitely go back and visit New York, but it was definitely something that like I said earlier, that I could have stayed there if I wanted to. But in terms of like what I value and what I wanted more in life, it was here in the Midwest, and that's okay. And coming to that realization, not just with myself, but with, Jesus, my partner, who we had a conversation about it, and he was super supportive about me because I was the one that was like, oh, I want to stay in New York. But then I guess we'll talk about our job search and all that in another episode. But I personally didn't really look into jobs in New York, even though I kept saying I wanted to stay and apply to other places. And found the job that I'm at now. So yeah, he was super supportive of like, oh, I can like, I'm willing to stay here if you want to stay here, but I'm also willing to go back to the Midwest. Like Jesus has been really supportive throughout this entire process in general, and just even moving back here. Obviously, Jesus loves Minneapolis. He's from here. His family is here. His like childhood friends are here. Like his high school friends. Like pretty much. And obviously I came to law school here, so I have like my friends and like also what I consider a sense of community here too. And so it just made sense for us to move back and just step away from like my ego and like what I had these thoughts of what I wanted, and not realizing that, or finally realizing that that's not really what I want out of life. You know, like yes, my career is important, but it's not to the point of like overshadowing my other values or my other priorities. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
When
that's
like
huge.
if you've heard our podcast, like you would know that I prioritize education and like my career for the longest time in my life. And now I'm at a point where like those things are important to me, but they're not the most important thing.
And we've also talked in the podcast about how like priorities change and like perspectives change and experiences. I think, yeah, we just change. It's inevitable. We as human beings change. Did you find yourself like, okay, so I had some hesitation about moving because I was like, what should I be doing versus what I wanted to do? Right. Like, I almost had this sense of like, people are going to think, and I'm over here worrying about what people think, but like, it's like, why are you going back? You know, you're going back. You're taking a step back. And I was like, in my head, I had these thoughts, this voice telling me like, you should stay in Chicago or go somewhere else. Like, you know, why are you going back? And like, and you know, and it was something I had to like really sit with. And I was, because I would tell myself, and like, Madison is great, but that's you're done with Madison for a long time. And I was like, what am I like, is this the right decision to be going back? Right. But it had this like negative connotation to it, going back, as if like I'm like taking steps backward in my life, right? But
I can see how you subconsciously are thinking that, when in reality it isn't.
And I think from a lot of people, Michelle, like when we like us going to UW-Madison and like you and other people not being from Madison, right? You came from Milwaukee, and like a lot of people said, as soon as I'm done with UW, I'm out of here. Right. And like
that was me.
You get that message. I got that message a lot from everybody. Like, I'm out of here. Like Madison, like UW-Madison was great, like whatever. I mean, great in certain senses, not so great in others. But like, I need to get out. I'm going to Chicago, I'm going to New York, I'm going to California, like I'm out of here. And then it's so like those messages also kind of stuck in my head. And it was like, so am I like, what am I doing going back when I could be doing other things?
That is so real. I agree with that. And I also was one of those people who said that.
I remember you telling me that.
Just because I'm not from Madison. Nothing really was in Madison for me besides college, and that was it. So I didn't really have that huge attachment to it. But for me personally, that's how I feel about Milwaukee, where like, you know, my mom is from or lives, and where I, you know, spent the majority of my life growing up there. That's how I feel about it. But moving back here, I kind of I know some people might see it as a step back, because obviously New York City, coming back to the Midwest, I think people might see that as a step back. I personally could care less what other people think. I also don't think it's a step back. I have a really good ass job that I've worked my ass off for like my entire years. Is also another dream job of mine that I was able to land. So for me, I don't see it as a step back, but maybe some other people might, because moving from a huge ass city where you can do literally anything anytime, there's so much food, culture, people, like to Minneapolis, which I know it's not the same thing. I don't really care. You know what I mean? If people see it as a step back, I am happy with my decision. I am confident in my decision. And I did it for me and for like my family and like my loved ones. And I think that's, you know, like whatever people think, whatever, who cares? Like,
Well,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. And that was what I was gonna like go into, because I think what those thoughts that I had, I'm not the only one that has these thoughts. Not the only one,
exactly,
right? So
yeah.
I'm very much trying to like, I'm trying to be very honest here with how like all the feelings that I had, right? But ultimately it came down to, okay, nobody else is living this life with me. I am the only one in this body. Like, what makes sense for me? What makes me happy? Right? What do I consider home? Who do I consider home? And to me, that's Jasmine, right? And so, like, if we're together and we figure out where we want to be, whether it's in a smaller city, whether it's in a smaller town, whether it's in the Midwest or the East Coast or in another country, whatever the fuck, it doesn't matter, right? Like, what makes sense for me and for us, what makes me happy, where am I most aligned with my values, and then the actual place doesn't matter. And I feel like we compare bigger cities to smaller towns and smaller cities, right? It's like you were saying, you're going from New York to like Minneapolis, and like, you know, we compare the two, and it's like, why would you move from New York to the Midwest? Like, why? You know? And I really want to like step away from that, you know, step away from that type of thinking, because I think every place has their own things to offer, and there's a lot to do in Minneapolis, to be honest.
And I think people, like you said, like there's different things to do. The city, like places are different, and not everybody is meant or can or is able to live in New York or all these other, or Chicago and all these other places. But yeah, I definitely agree that people have these feelings, and maybe down the, like, maybe for people who are listening, maybe you decide to move somewhere and maybe you're not happy, maybe it wasn't what you thought it was going to be in your head, and that's okay too. Like, that's okay if you take a chance and you go somewhere and it doesn't work out. That's okay too. So yeah, like, you know, you never know. I feel like sometimes we build up these places and these things in our heads, and the reality is different, and that's okay too.
Yeah, that legit happened to me when Jasmine was telling me about possibly moving to Arizona for to be a pilot, right? And she was like, would you come with me? And yes, to be honest, I did hesitate. I was like, I don't know if I could live in Arizona, but I'm over here like speaking as a person who's never been there, you know? And so we're very quick to envision certain things for us that haven't even happened, or may not happen, or may happen very differently than what you picture. And so, you know, if you have the resources, the ability, you know, to move and you're happy, great. And if you're not, and you have the ability to move back or go somewhere else, great, do that. You know, I think, just end up wherever you feel happiest, or wherever you feel more at peace. You know, that's also something I'm striving for, is peace. And you know, just doing me, essentially.
That reminds me of what is that? I feel like, do you think then that people should move out of their hometown at some point in their lives? Like, it reminds me of that. Or like, what do you think about people who stay like in their hometowns?
Yeah, that's interesting. I've heard people, and I've had this conversation of like, damn, this person never left, you know, or like, why don't they ever leave?
It's so judgmental.
Yeah, and
I think that's so judgmental. I don't know.
Yeah, and I think we're very quick to judge. It's like, I don't know if either it's a human thing, or I don't know what it is, we're conditioned to be so judgmental, but I don't know.
Or maybe it's not. I don't know. That's just my opinion.
I know we're judging. We're being judgmental about something that's probably judgmental or not judgmental.
Yeah.
That's funny. You know, I don't know. Like, if you can and want to move somewhere else, great. I do think there is value in traveling somewhere and experiencing new places. Doesn't mean you have to live there, but just going out and seeing, if you have the means to do it. Like for me, going to Australia was like life changing, and I was more like willing to and more motivated to go see other places of the world, and like go, I don't know, go experience things outside of like your comfort zone, outside of your where you are most familiar with, right? I think that's a way to kind of push yourself to grow. But I'm not saying like go and live somewhere else and like never come back to your hometown, or like I don't know. I think everybody can do what they want, or should be able to do what they want. Who am I to be judging you, right?
Yeah, sure.
Now, if you can't leave, like if you're somewhere and you just can't leave, I think that's a little bit different, But if you're if you're happy where you're at, then stay. I don't know. Like it doesn't.
Yeah.
Again, like you said, we're very judgmental. Or that's a very judgmental. It can be very judgmental.
I'm like, I don't know. We're not.
Well, I think we as human beings, I think, can be judgmental.
Yeah, I think so. I think everyone has an idea of what someone's life should be, or like how people should live their lives, I think, as a society. And so it's interesting. And I like when people just do whatever they want. And I think that's cool. So yeah.
Do what you want. I think a tip for moving though,
what are some tips?
I was like thinking about this. Definitely, if you can, save up some extra money for the moving process, because it's actually expensive. And I'm sure, Michelle, you had to like pay for gas, driving all the way for 14 hours, halfway across the country, right? And like I was like, damn, we had to pay for the U-Haul, we had to pay the movers, like we bought dinner for everybody who helped us move. Like it is nice. A pretty, like, it takes a toll financially, at least it did on me. So
yeah, I definitely did on me too.
Save those pennies, those extra pennies for the moving process.
Pennies don't pay for shit.
Oh my god, it was a saying.
I know. I'm done. Yeah. Fuck yeah. Moving is expensive, and I guess tips that I would say, definitely donate or sell the thing. That's what I did. Sell things. Yeah, we did that too. Extra money is always good. Donating your clothes or donating furniture in general, I think, is always good. There's a lot of people who need resources or in general a lot of things. So if you can do that, that's great. Definitely, I should have, because the whole like, oh, I accepted this job and then my fellowship ends at this time and then my job starts at this time. Like everything was so fast paced that I just kind of wish that I gave myself a little bit more time, but I didn't have it. So it was fine. But I would recommend to give yourself some time to move and being able to plan it a little bit more. Probably might be a little bit less expensive if you do that. So I would definitely recommend that. It's just planning ahead as much as you can.
Yeah. Like if you can afford to not work, like a week, take a week off of work. Like if that's possible, either end your job early, your current job earlier, or push your start date for your new job, to give you some time to settle and like move and stuff. I would recommend that too. But like I said, if you can afford to do that, if you can afford to not work for like a week or two, I don't know. Yeah. Everybody's situation is different.
Yeah, I couldn't really do that. We literally moved in this apartment and the next day I had to go to work.
That's crazy. Wow.
It was a lot. But it was, I mean, it worked out. It's fine. Yeah. I'm young. I can do this. It'll be fine.
Yeah, we moved on.
That's what I kept telling myself.
You are young. You can do this, and you did it, and you're doing it.
Yeah.
We moved on a Saturday, and then that Monday I started. So I was like, well, after work, it's going to be like cleaning and unpacking. And we didn't rush. We were like, whatever we get done during the week is great, fine. If we don't get much done, it's okay. You know, as long as we unpack some clothes, we have some food in the fridge, we're okay. We'll be fine. And then like we would focus more of like the weekend, since we, you know, we didn't work on the weekends, to like really get in there and unpack and organize and stuff like that. So yeah, if you have that luxury and, you know, are able to do that, like take your time with unpacking. Some people get really anxious with all the clutter and the stuff, which I'm one of those people, but I was so tired. I'm like, I can't, like, it was too much to be working a full ass day and then coming back home and like unpacking and cleaning. So
yeah,
take your time, go at your own pace, you'll be settled in soon enough.
Lean in on people who can help you move.
Yes.
That really helped us in terms of when we got here.
Everybody's
there's
moving process
there's
is
probably
different.
a lot more tips. Moving process. I really don't recommend driving 14 hours and just doing that for a driver. That was a lot. But it was fine. We stopped at a hotel.
Yeah, well, that's good. You didn't do it like a straight shot.
No, but it was like hard. 7-hour days.
Even so, that's a long time. That's basically your whole day right there, just on the road. Much. Plus, you had Mia with you.
Yeah, Mama Mia. She did really good.
Oh, good. Did she ride with you?
We alternated.
Oh,
honestly, she doesn't do that well in the Jeep, because if you've ever ridden in a Jeep, it's bumpy and it can be a little like you just hear the wind hitting. Because I have a hard top. I'm sure soft tops are probably worse. But you can still hear like the air. So it's not as comfortable for her in the Jeep, but she was in the van with us most of the time because it was just smoother. It's just a smoother ride.
Okay.
But she did good. She did good overall.
She's a little trooper. She's adjusting to the new place.
Yeah, she loves it here. Okay. She, like I said, she like, I don't know how to explain it. And because in New York where we lived, there wasn't really like, there were parks obviously that we could go to, but we had to drive a little bit or like take the subway to get to the parks. Okay. But here we literally cross the street and like there's grass and like a whole bunch of trees, and like she loves it here. And the apartment that we live in is super dog friendly. So yeah, and then Jesus' sister has 2 dogs, and so she has like now dogs to play with, and like we can schedule like dog play dates or something.
That's so cute.
How are your dogs? What are their names again?
Mila and Mela.
Mila and Mela. How are they doing?
How
was the moving process with them?
Yeah. So Mila gets pretty anxious with like a lot of people and new things and a lot of stuff going on. But she did pretty well considering all the different changes and having her like deal with everybody in the apartment, moving stuff. She's like, what's going on? But she loves when you pet her and you just show her some love. You know, dogs are very loyal and just want to be cuddled and loved, and so she really adapted well to my family and stuff. And they both have been doing really well. We have a balcony, so they love just hanging out on the balcony, and like they'll be watching around. We're surrounded by grass as well, and we have a really pretty view, and like kind of like yours, it's very very dog friendly. And they even have like around the like complex like doggy bag posts. You can get doggy poop bags and little trash can and stuff, so you can find them across the neighborhood. And so like and we have a dog park here too in the complex, or in the apartments. Nice. So it's really cool. It's nice. A lot of space. We get to go on like longer walks. So yeah, they seem pretty they seem like they're adjusting pretty well. So, and we get a lot of sunlight in here, which is great. Like a lot of natural sunlight.
Good. Yeah.
Which is just like everybody's mood is lifted. It's great.
Yeah.
Feels good.
That's really good.
So we're doing good. We're doing well. And
we're
Yeah.
back. So
And we're
expect more
back, y'all.
episodes.
Yay.
Yeah, we're excited.
Yeah, we're excited. We're gonna keep posting some more. I really missed doing this. So we definitely
Same.
we're gonna get back into it. Yeah, thank
Yeah.
y'all for tuning in.
Thank you for tuning in. If there are any topics or if you have any questions for us, let us know. Comment below or comment on our social media. I have to get back on it.
We got this.
So yeah, we're gonna do that.
Do all that. We're gonna be definitely much more engaging and more active on social media. And yeah, we're here to just build more community with y'all. So thank you for tuning in.
Thank you.
We'll catch you at the next one.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.